Yes, good afternoon, friends. So I hope everyone has studied the concept of HTML and still remember the HTML code in this case. So today's class we are starting with the PHP framework in this case. So for PHP framework, very simple operations to be designed in this case. Like first we have studied with the HTML, and today's class we will directly concentrate on how to store the data inside the database. मतलब user के पास से data लेके using the front end, how that data can be stored inside the database is what we will be studying in the today's session in this storing the data, and probably if possible we will focus on how to search a particular data and delete the data in this case. So these are the planned operation for today's class of this. So to start with, sir, what are the softwares that I need to install? Of course, you need to install two softwares in this case. One is, of course, one database software, that is MySQL file in this. You have to install the MySQL software in this case, and HTML editor, that is Sublime Text, which you might have already installed if you are using the HTML coding in this case, and one more most important software called as XAMPP. XAMPP is a one more software that we have to install in this case. Now, why these softwares are used? Obviously, MySQL is the database software for the backend in this case. Sublime Text is used to write the HTML code, and also it is used to write the PHP code in this case. So for these two, editing you can make use of Sublime Text, or you can even make use of Notepad, or you can also make use of VS Code, any software for this. Okay, so for writing a HTML page and the HTML code and the PHP code, you can make use of any of these three softwares which we have. Even you can go for Notepad plus plus. Okay, that is also similar to that of your Sublime Text in this case. Okay, so you can make use of any of these editors to write the program in this case. Now, after this, the XAMPP software. Sir, why do we need a XAMPP software in this case? Say very simple. Like you people have used Turbo C software for C language because it has a compiler which converts your C language to machine understandable language. The same way in Python, in PHP language, we need this XAMPP server which is used to compile your PHP programs in this case. Okay, so once I've written the PHP program, that PHP program should be converted to machine understandable language. So for that PHP program execution. Okay, so we need XAMPP for that. That is one purpose of the XAMPP in this case. The second purpose of XAMPP is, as we know that we are writing a web application. The web application has two parts in this. One is client and another is server. You people have studied in your computer networks or communication network subject. So there, client is a system which requests service, whereas server is a system which provides service. Okay, so for client to request a service, we will be writing the HTML program. HTML program, always HTML code, whatever you write, that code is mainly used for used by the client in this case to request a service, from the server. And whenever the request comes to the server has to provide that service in this case. So to provide the service, he needs to perform some operations. So to perform those operations, we need to write a one more program, that is in PHP, we make use of a .php file in this case. So we call them as server programs. These server programs are written using many languages. One among them is the PHP language in this. And for this, we write many HTML program using a language called as HTML. Okay, so they have an extension that is .html in this case. But interesting thing is, PHP language is such a language which also supports HTML programs in this case. So that means in PHP file, you can also write a HTML code. Hence, the HTML programs can be written with the extension .html and .php also. Now you may ask me, sir, which option is better, using .html or using .php? I always recommend using the .php in this case. In .php, because .php files support PHP language also, they support HTML language also. So HTML and PHP both languages are supported. That is what the advantage we get. That same file extension supports two different types of languages in this. Hence, I would prefer that whatever the HTML code you have written till date, or whatever the HTML tags we have studied till date in the HTML section, I want you people to write those HTML code inside the .php files in this case. Now, point is, if you are using .html, no need to have any external softwares to be installed, because as you know that the browser automatically supports the HTML code. But that is not the case with the PHP. With the PHP, you need to have a separate software to be installed in this case, which converts the PHP language to machine understandable language in this. And for that purpose, we make use of the XAMPP server in this. So as you can see, the PHP program execution, and second is it is server side programs. Now server side programs means he is mainly responsible for PHP to communicate with the database, because what happens here is XAMPP has some set of library files. These library files help to communicate between the PHP and the MySQL, because once I take the data from the user, I have to store this data inside the database. Okay, because if you don't store the data in the database, then it is no use of collecting the data. So what happens is we have a HTML page in this case, which is taking the data from the user. That HTML page cannot directly store the data inside the database. And database we are using here, that is MySQL. So this communication is not possible. There is no direct communication between these two, because the HTML does not know database language, the database does not know HTML language. So communication is not possible. So for this reason, we have one mediator in this case, and that mediator is the PHP language. PHP language helps to communicate between a HTML page and between the database in this case. So he acts as a mediator who knows both the language, or who knows how to communicate with both the different languages, because in database we make use of SQL language, structured query language, and in HTML we have hypertext markup language. So he knows how to communicate with these two different languages in this case. Now you may ask me a question, sir, how does PHP know this? Actually, PHP does not know this. PHP takes use of a library file called as MySQLi. Using this MySQLi, the PHP language can communicate with the database in this case. And with the help of some of the built-in functions of the PHP language in this case, with the help of the XAMPP server, this XAMPP server has the library files using which the HTML, the PHP language can communicate with the HTML language in this. So this is how the communication always takes place between the HTML and the database. So there is no direct communication, but there is a mediator involved in this. The mediator is the PHP language in this, and PHP language means he himself won't do everything. He also needs the support in this case. That support is from the MySQL and the XAMPP in this case. So using these two helps in this case, he can help to communicate between or exchange the data from HTML page to the MySQL database in this, and from MySQL database to HTML in this. So a very simple method they have used in this case. And even compared to other programming languages, PHP is one of the most easiest way of understanding the concept in this case. There is so much complicated in this. So only thing is you need to install these two softwares, that is XAMPP and MySQL. So XAMPP is the only software? No, we have a one more that is called as WAMP. Using the WAMP software also, the communication between the HTML and the PHP can be performed in this case. Just similar to XAMPP, WAMP is another type of software in this case. But yes, sir, which is more widely used? The more widely used is the XAMPP software in this. So I will also be using the XAMPP software in my system. So that you can download it, the XAMPP server, you get it in the internet free of cost in this case. So no need to pay anything for that. Same thing is a MySQL also in this case. So MySQL is a open source where you can download it from the internet and you can use it in this case. So you can just go to. I'll share the links in the group if you want to install these two softwares in this case. So once these softwares are installed, especially the XAMPP software in this case, I will be making use of say this PC. The XAMPP always gets stored inside the C drive. There will be one folder created called as XAMPP. Inside XAMPP, there are many other softwares in this case. In this, I will be making use of one folder called as htdocs. htdocs. htdocs is a folder which is a main place where our project should be stored in this case. And whatever the project you want to create, you have to just create a folder. That's it. So I will give a folder, I will create a new folder inside this and I will give the name of this particular folder as college. So click on enter, the folder is created. Now this folder will behave like a project in this case. Inside this folder, say very simple, I have to create two files in this. One is a HTML code where I take the data from the user. Another is a PHP code where I will be storing that data inside the database in this. So two separate files I have to create. So let me start with the first one, that is creating a register page in this case. So to create a register page, we have already done the HTML part in this case. So I have to just create one HTML file, and as I told you earlier, I will be making use of .php. ओके, मैं यहाँ पे क्या करता हूँ, मैं डॉट पी एच पी बोल के फाइल का नाम देता हूँ बिकॉज डॉट पी एच पी फाइल में आई कैन स्टोर द डेटा इन एच टी एम एल, आई कैन राइट एच टी एम एल कोड एज वेल एज पी एच पी कोड इन दिस केस. Okay, so right click on this, say new, and you can create a text document in this. Sublime text है तो you just double click, first save कर दो इसको. So let me save this, save as, I will call it as student register dot php. You can take HTML also, no issues, but I prefer using .php in this case. So the PHP file is created. Write the basic HTML structure in this case. So I have the basic structure. Title tag के अंदर I will say student register and same name I will put it in the h3 tag in this case. उसके बाद start with the font tag name is equal to, that is frm name is equal to frm student register. Give a proper name in this case. Then I will make use of method is equal to post. Then I say autocomplete equal to off and close the form tag. Inside the form tag, sir, what are the student information that you want to take? So very simple, I'll take basic data of the student in this case. Like example, I'll put the font tag because these are compulsory fields. So font tag, put a star inside this and color is equal to red, compulsory field in this. And I'll put a bold tag and inside this student name. I'll use a field called as student name with for each letter, first letter as capital. Then I need his mobile number. I'll give mobile number. Then I need his register number in this case. So I'll call it as register number. That is your university seat number in this case. Then I need say his password. So I'll give it as password. And last option, I want to take his course, which course he's, which language he wants to do the project in this case. Okay, so which language, or I'll take project title and then language. Okay, so let me take project title, project title, and last one I will make use of a select tag in which I need to select, tell him, ask the language of the project in this case. So I'll say project language. So these are the inputs that I need to take from the user. For each input, create a form input tag. So input type is equal to text, name is equal to whatever you have given here, same thing, small letters, continuous, student name. Then use a placeholder, enter student name. It is a compulsory field. I'll make use of required. And pattern property, because I want only alphabets to be allowed, A to Z, capital A to capital Z, slash S, slash dot, minimum 2 digits, maximum 100 digits, 100 characters. And after this, you have to give auto focus. I want the cursor to be blinking in the first text box. So autofocus equal to on. So that is the first tag for name in this. The same way, I need to take the second one, that is mobile number. So for that, type is equal to number, name is equal to mobile number. Same thing. Remember, whatever I have given in the label, it is same thing here, but continuous and small letters. Placeholder, I will say enter mobile number. Compulsory, so required property, pattern, allow only numbers. So that is 0 to 9. Autofocus is not required. Remove this. So I've taken a mobile number in this. And of course, the minimum is 10, maximum is also 10. And I told you min and max property when you are entering the mobile numbers. I want the mobile number starting with 60 followed by 8 zeros. Same thing with the max property. I want 10 nines, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and same. So this is for the mobile number in this case. Once I have taken the mobile number, the next option I need is a register number. So register number is again combination of zeros and ones, alphabets both. So I'll take type equal to text, labels is equal to register number. Exactly what is here. I've taken the same thing in small letters, continuous. And after that, I need to enter the placeholder in this case. So I'll make a modification to the placeholder, enter register number. It is a compulsory property. Alphabets should be allowed in this case, and even numbers should be allowed in this case. Say probably 10 digits, I'll guess. Autofocus not required. So that is a register property, input type equal to text. After that, I need to take a password from the user. Input type is equal to password, name is equal to password, and placeholder enter password. Compulsory, yes. Pattern, no. Don't give the pattern property in this case, because the password can be having numbers, alphabets, symbols, anything in this case. So I'll give those properties. Next, after this, I have project title. Say project title also I'll take input type is equal to text. Name is equal to project title. Placeholder, enter project title. It is a compulsory field, so required. Use a pattern property because symbols are not used here. So I'll say A to Z, capital A to capital Z. They may be having numbers also in this case. In flower brackets, minimum 2 characters, maximum 100 characters. It can, the project title may have 100 letters in this case, so I'll give it as 100. So that is a project title. Now for the language, I will make use of select tag. In the select tag, use the name property. I will say programming language. I'll change even here. I'll put it as programming language. And inside the select tag, it is a compulsory field. So I'll put required. Inside this option, the first option should always be like select programming language. Use the value property empty. And after this, again make use of the option tag. In option tag, I can give programming language choice in this case. Like I had given four options to you people. That is PHP. Then I gave you with Python. Then it was Java language in this. And then it was C hash. So these are the four languages on which the user can select any one language in this case. Save this, and in the last I will make use of input type is equal to submit, name is equal to btn submit, value is equal to register. Okay, so along with the register you can even use the input type equal to cancel if you want. I don't want that in this, so I'll keep this. So my PHP code is ready. How to run the PHP file, that is very important. Now when you are using the HTML code, you are just writing like right click open with browser. So that is how you open the HTML programs, but PHP programs can't be executed like that. Say if I try this, right click open with, and if I select browser, okay, so when I select browser, it will show you the whole code itself in this. It will not show you the HTML form design. So there is a different method how you have to execute the PHP programs in this. To execute these PHP programs, the first thing that you have to do is you have to first run your server in this case. You have to run the application server. How to run the application server? Say very simple. The your XAMPP server is installed in C drive, a folder by name XAMPP. Inside this, you will find one option that is XAMPP control.exe. So double click this XAMPP control.exe. It will open one window, and in this window there is one option called as Apache. You have to click on the start button. So it will take some time and it will change it to green color. Once it is changed to green color, then your PHP server is executing. If it is showing some red color, there is a problem with the XAMPP server in this case. So there is a problem with the installation in that case. So make sure it shows green color in this case. Once it shows green color, yes, your server is executing properly fine. The next thing what we do is to open that register folder, the register page, I click on Google Chrome or any browser you want. You open that browser in this. Here you have to type localhost slash the name of the folder where you have kept your register page. The name of the folder that I have created here is college in capital letters slash the student register.php. I have to give completely in this case. So what I have to do, localhost slash college slash register student dot php. So once you type the local host, then followed by the name of the project folder you have created in the XAMPP, and then the name of the PHP page that you have written the HTML code. Click on enter. It says something like this, means our server is running. Just check with that. Local host is fine. XAMPP server is running fine. Register. Let me check with this. So I have college. Click on college. Register.php. Yes. So probably there was some spelling mistake. That's why it did not open that. So it is the same URL I have typed. I have typed localhost slash college slash student register.php. And I know this is one of the worst HTML design I have done. How to improve the design, I have already told you that also in this case. Once you have created all the fields, you can copy the full code, go to ChatGPT, give him, he will update it in this. So open ChatGPT. we can just paste the whole code in this case. So I'll put the whole code and I'll ask him improve UI using BS5. BS5 we'll get to know it is bootstrap 5 in this case. Keep my code intact. N-T-A-C-T. Keep my code intact because I don't want him to make any changes to my tags which I have written in this. So I'll just wait for it to complete. Yes, the code is completed. Just copy the content, replace it with whatever code you have written. Save करो and उसके बाद open your HTML page, refresh, you get the form in this case. So he has modified that, he has created the register page in this case. So a very simple way how the register page is done. ये थोड़ा चैट जीपीटी को देंगे तो वो थोड़ा मिस्टेक्स नहीं वो थोड़ा चेंज कर ही देगा. Like example, so much of gap between the tags in this case. I want to reduce that gap in this. So what happens here is एक tag और दूसरे tag के बीच में the gap he has given is either MB3 or MB4. इसको निकालो. Okay, I don't want so much of space in this case, so wherever he has given this MB3 I want it to be replaced with MB1. Okay, तो थोड़ा gap कम हो जाता है. So I've replaced it. Most of the cases wherever he has used MB3, like it will be changed to MB1 in this case. तो सब जगह पे MB1 आ गया. He has given more space again here. I'll keep it MB1 and these are the options. सेव करो, you can refresh the web page. फॉर्म थोड़ा छोटा हो गया, that is good in this. One more problem here is the gap between this label and the text box. ये mobile number is more closer to the text box compared to student name. ये problem is because he makes use of that label tag in this case. यहाँ पे हर जगह पे वो label tag use करता है, which I generally don't prefer in this case. तो मैं क्या करता हूँ, I will replace this label tag with bold tag in this. That is B tag. तो B tag को replace किया. Find and replace time कम लेता है. And wherever label close is there, I want it to be closed with bold tag close. So replace. तो तब क्या होता है? There will be proper bold alphabets in this case. And अभी देखो the text box is more nearer to the label compared to this. और थोड़ा जगह गैप चाहिए, यू कैन रिप्लेस दैट MB1 विथ MB2. अगर आपको और थोड़ा गैप चाहिए बोले तो MB1 को MB2 से रिप्लेस कर दो. सेव इट, रिफ्रेश, तो थोड़ा गैप हो गया. सो दिस इज माय रजिस्ट्रेशन पेज इन दिस केस. इसको देख के और बैकग्राउंड पे इमेज भी डाल सकते हो, दोस थिंग्स यू कैन डू इट इन दिस केस, लेकिन वो नहीं चाहिए अभी बिकॉज वैसे भी हम इसको डिजाइन लास्ट में चेंज करते हैं. So this is the page that I have created in this case. Now, once we have created the page, the second thing is the database part in this. So now what I have to do is I have to create a database where I can store the data in that particular location. So that is very important in this. तो आपको database create करना पड़ता है in the MySQL in this case. Okay, so for that, as I told you, you have to install the MySQL software for that. एक बार जब install करते हैं, then yes, easily you can create a database in that particular location in this. So coming to this, how to create a database? Say very simple. You can open the MySQL software in this case. MySQL type करता हूँ, तो I have a MySQL command line बोल के आता है. Open the command line. It will ask for the password. This password is the password which I have given when I had installed the database software in this case. Okay, वो आपके कॉलेज में ऑलरेडी है. So whatever password they have given, वो password आपको जानना चाहिए. My password is root@123 with R capital. So it is now showing me the MySQL database. अभी यहाँ पे I want to create a database by name, college बोल के database create करेंगे. ओके, सो लेकिन उससे पहले आई वांट टू नो कॉलेज डेटाबेस इसके अंदर है कि नहीं. सो फॉर दैट आई विल से यूज कॉलेज. अगर वो बोलता है कि अननोन डेटाबेस कॉलेज, मतलब डेटाबेस कॉलेज बोल के नहीं है, अगर था इट विल शो यू द कॉलेज डेटाबेस इन दिस. So there is no database by name college, so now I have to create a new database in this. So how to create a new database? Very simple. Database create करने के लिए login to MySQL with password. उसके बाद you have to create a database. And database कैसे create करते हैं? Very simple. There is a syntax called as create database, data database, followed by a database name. So database name I'll keep it as college. I'll put everything in small because वहाँ पे capital letter small letter MySQL को भी फर्क नहीं पड़ता है. So now next is create database college. तो उसके बाद वो डेटाबेस क्रिएट हो जाता है. डेटाबेस क्रिएट होने के बाद आई हैव टू सेलेक्ट दिस डेटाबेस. हाउ टू सेलेक्ट द डेटाबेस? वेरी सिंपल. यूज फॉलोड बाय आपका डेटाबेस का नाम. सो दिस कमांड विल एक्चुअली सेलेक्ट द डेटाबेस इन दिस केस. सेलेक्ट डेटाबेस. एंड ये कमांड क्या करता है? क्रिएट न्यू डेटाबेस. इफ नॉट एग्जिस्ट, अगर नहीं है तब क्रिएट करेगा. उसके बाद नेक्स्ट स्टेप आई हैव टू डू इज क्रिएट टेबल. क्रिएट टेबल वेयर आई नीड टू स्टोर ऑल द डेटा फ्रॉम द टेकन फ्रॉम द HTML पेज. ओके, तो टेबल क्रिएट करने के लिए यू शुड नो व्हाट आर द इनपुट्स दैट यू आर टेकिंग फ्रॉम द यूजर इन दिस केस. ओके, तो उसके लिए सिंटैक्स इज, आई मीन एग्जांपल इज वेरी सिंपल. क्रिएट टेबल, table name, so I'll call it as TBL student details. So this is my table name in this case. Create table बोल के command use करता हूँ. तो command use करके I will make use of a table name that is TBL student details. TBL student details के अंदर comma flower simple brackets डाल के whatever inputs you are taking here वो इनपुट्स को डिफाइन करना. लाइक एग्जांपल स्टूडेंट नेम. सो आई नीड टू हैव स्टूडेंट नेम. और स्टूडेंट नेम के अंदर कितने कैरेक्टर्स स्टोर कर सकते हैं? हाउ मेनी कैरेक्टर्स और हाउ मेनी लेटर्स आई कैन स्टोर इनसाइड दिस. सो फॉर दैट वी मेक यूज ऑफ वन डेटा टाइप कॉल्ड एज varchar. I will give varchar 100, मतलब I can store up to 100 characters inside this student name. इफ इट इज कंपल्सरी, मतलब स्टूडेंट नेम कंपल्सरी देना है, यहाँ पे यू यूज नॉट नल बोल के कीवर्ड यूज करते हैं. नॉट नल कीवर्ड मतलब यू कैन नॉट कीप दिस एम्प्टी, कंपल्सरी एंटर करना ही है. नेक्स्ट लाइन. So second field I have is mobile number in this case. So same thing, mobile number. Mobile number, I will make use of varchar 10 again, and it is a compulsory field. I say not null. Now you may be thinking, sir, mobile number तो it will be numbers. It should be why you are giving varchar? Why you are giving it as a character in this case? It is because यहाँ पे हम जब अगर if I want to make use of number in this case, number में सिर्फ यहाँ पे 9 digits store हो सकते हैं. If I make use of instead of varchar, if I give int, I'll put it not null, and here if I give it as int, प्रॉब्लम यह होता है कि इसके अंदर ओनली 9 digits स्टोर हो सकते हैं, बिकॉज दैट इज द हाईएस्ट डेटा यू कैन स्टोर इनसाइड द int in this case. मोबाइल तो 10 डिजिट का है, दैट इज द रीजन व्हाई आई मेक यूज ऑफ varchar of 10. So that is not null because mobile number भी compulsory field है. After that, the third field I am taking is register number. तो register number, same variable name, continuous होना चाहिए. That is compulsory. Don't give space in between whatever the variables you are declaring here. बीच में gap नहीं देना है. उसके बाद I use varchar of, say, register number is 10 digits, and this is also compulsory. I will say not null. Most important, register numbers should not be repeated. Okay, तो उसके लिए we use a one more keyword here called as primary key. You people have studied about the primary key in DBMS. So primary key, when you give here, It means that you cannot insert two students with the same register number in this case. I can't have two students, same registration. When you people were entering the register form, वहाँ पे भी आपको यही प्रॉब्लम हुआ था. एक बार आप इंसर्ट कर दिए, सर बोले सर मैं चेंज करना चाहती हूँ प्रोजेक्ट टाइटल या लैंग्वेज. You are trying to register again, it will say register number already exists. बिकॉज हमने भी वही किया है. व्हाट वी डिड वाज, वट एवर द रजिस्टर नंबर यू हैड एंटर्ड, वो रजिस्टर नंबर को हम प्राइमरी की बोल के डिफाइन करते हैं. व्हेन वी गिव इट एज अ प्राइमरी की, इट विल नॉट अलाउ यू टू री एंटर द डेटा इन दिस केस. So that is why I am making it a primary key attribute in this, so that same register number is not entered two times in this case. Okay, so that is a condition which I am putting in this, separated by comma. Next, the next field I want to take is password. So same thing, password. इसको भी हम varchar देते हैं because varchar can take alphabets, numbers, symbols, everything can be stored inside this. I'll give 20 characters as password and not null because password can't be empty. So compulsory मैं क्या करता हूँ, I'll make it as a not null attribute in this case. So that is the next attribute in this. उसके बाद after storing the password, the next field is project title. So comma डाल के project title. Project title varchar how many characters? Say varchar I will give up to 100 characters. You can enter up to 100 digits inside this in this case. So that is a varchar in this. And it is also not null because you can't keep it empty. So we can't enter the, we can't submit the page without entering the project title. So I will make it not null in this case. After project title, the last field that I need to take is the programming language. So PROGRAMMING programming language, and that varchar varchar of say 20, because in this I have hardly given maximum is Python, that is वहाँ पे you have 6 characters in this case. तो अगर यहाँ पे 10 दिए तो भी it is sufficient, and I say not null because I don't want empty value for the programming language in this. So like this, you keep on creating how many ever columns you have or how many ever columns you need in the table, and last में put a semicolon. So that is the table is created. ये table को जाके copy this entire table, and after saying use college you should paste it. So let us do this. Say now let me create a database name college, that is create database college. Put a semicolon. It says query okay, one row affected means the college database is created. Now I have to compulsory say use college. You can't execute the create table without executing use college. Compulsory use college is compulsory. So use college डाल दिया. After this, I will paste the entire create table in this case. Copy किया, paste it here, and you say query okay, 0 rows affected. मतलब the table is ready. Okay, सर मेरे को टेबल के अंदर क्या क्या कॉलम्स है वो देखना है. वेरी सिंपल, DESC TBL स्टूडेंट डिटेल्स. DESC बोल के एक कमांड आता है, दैट इज डिस्क्राइब टेबल फॉलोड बाय वो टेबल का नाम दीजिए. इट विल शो यू ऑल द कॉलम नेम्स, वो डेटा टाइप का डेटा टाइप्स ऑफ दोज कॉलम्स इन दिस. नल वैल्यू किधर अलाउड है, विच इज अ प्राइमरी की, कुछ तो डिफॉल्ट वैल्यू दिए क्या, any additional fields. So this is the structure of the table in this case. Okay, so it tells you all the columns. उसके लिए you can use DESC followed by table name. And कुछ भी operation करना हो, use college is very important. Okay, so उसके बाद optional है. I'm just giving an option in this to view table structure which is optional. करना बोल के कंपलसरी ऑप्शनल, विच इज कंपलसरी बोल के नहीं है, दैट इज DESC TBL स्टूडेंट डिटेल्स. सो एग्जैक्ट टेबल नेम वही देना है. इवन इफ वन लेटर इज मिसिंग, इट विल नॉट एक्सेप्ट दैट टेबल इन दिस केस. सो कंपलसरी वहां पे क्या है, DESC followed by you give the name of the table in this case, it will show you the complete table structure in this. So now I can see that table structure here. So कौन से columns है, what are the name of the columns, and what is the data type of the column in this case, and what is the null values किधर allow करता है किधर नहीं करता है, those informations can be viewed in this, and which is the primary key attribute. I told you primary key attribute matlab it is the unique value for each row. Okay, and sir can I see the data from this table, मतलब जो भी इसके अंदर data है, can I see that table in this case? Yes, you can see that by executing one command in this, that is fifth one, to view table data, a very simple select star from TBL student details. तो टेबल का नाम करेक्ट होना चाहिए. Once you have entered this command, I will show you select star from TBL student details semicolon. It says empty set, matlab there is no data inside the table in this case. So that itself says that we have still not inserted the data. Once we insert the data, then we will come back again and we will see whether the data is inserted or not in this case. Okay, so any doubts still here? If you have not understood any step, you can ask, I'll explain it once again. Okay, so I hope no doubt till here. तो हमने कुछ भी किया भी नहीं, that we have just created one HTML.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, tell me.
ಸರ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಮೊಬೈಲ್ ನಂಬರ್ ಜಾಗದಾಗ ವರ್ಕ್ಯಾರ್ ಅಂತ ಹಾಕಿರ್ ನೋಡ್ರಿ,
ಹಾ
ಅದು ಜಾಗದಲ್ಲಿ ನಂಬರ್ ಅಂತ ಟೈಪ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದಲ್ರಿ?
ಇಲ್ರಿ, ಅದೇ ಅದಲ್ಲ, ನಂಬರ್ ಅಂತ ಹಾಕಿದ್ರಿ ಅಂತಂದ್ರ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಬರೀ 9 ಡಿಜಿಟ್ ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಇನ್ಸರ್ಟ್ ಆಗ್ತಾವೆ. ಎದಕ್ಕಂದ್ರ ಇಂಟ್ ಅನ್ನೋ ಡೇಟಾ ಟೈಪ್ ಕೊಡ್ತೀವಿ ನೀವು. ಸೊ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನಾ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಸಪೋಸ್ ವ್ಯಾರ್ಕ್ಯಾರ್ ಬದಲು ಇಂಟ್ ಅಂತ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿನಿ ಅಂತಂದ್ರ ಬರೀ ಇಂಟೀಜರ್ ನಂಬರ್ಸ್ ಸ್ಟೋರ್ ಆಗ್ತಾವ. ಇಂಟೀಜರ್ ನಂಬರ್ಸ್ನಾಗ ಬರೀ 9 ಡಿಜಿಟ್ ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಅದ್ರ ಸ್ಟೋರೇಜ್ ಕೆಪಾಸಿಟಿ. 9 ಡಿಜಿಟ್ಗಿಂತ ಹೆಚ್ಚಿಗೆ ಸ್ಟೋರ್ ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಬರಂಗಿಲ್ಲ ಅದು. ಬಟ್ ನಮ್ಮ ಮೊಬೈಲ್ ನಂಬರ್ 10 ಡಿಜಿಟ್ ಅವ. ಸೊ ಅವಾಗ 1 ಡಿಜಿಟ್ ನೀವು ತಪ್ಪು ಕೊಟ್ಟಂದ್ರೆ 1 ಡಿಜಿಟ್ ಕಮ್ಮಿ ಕೊಟ್ಟರೆ ವರ್ಕ್ ಆಗ್ತೇನೆ ಮೊಬೈಲ್ ನಂಬರ್ ಆಗಂಗಿಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ ಅದ್ರ ಸಲುವಾಗ ನಾವೇನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಇನ್ಸ್ಟೆಡ್ ಆಫ್ ಇಂಟ್ ನಾವೇನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ವ್ಯಾರ್ಕ್ಯಾರ್ ಅಂತ ಕೊಟ್ಬಿಡ್ತೀವಿ. ಓಕೆ ಸರ್, ಹಂಗಂದ್ರೆ ನಂಬರ್ಸ್ ನಾವು ವ್ಯಾರ್ಕ್ಯಾರ್ನಾಗ ಸ್ಟೋರ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದೇನು? ಎಸ್, ಸ್ಟೋರ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನೂ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಆಗಲ್ಲ. ಯಾಕಂತಂದ್ರೆ ನಾವು ಮೊಬೈಲ್ ನಂಬರ್ ತಗೊಂಡು ಸಪೋಸ್ ಏನಾರ ಎಡಿಷನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ ಅಥವಾ ಅದ್ರ ಮೇಲೆ ಏನಾರ ಮ್ಯಾಥಮೆಟಿಕಲ್ ಆಪರೇಷನ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ವಿ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಅದು ಇಂಟೀಜರ್ ಆಗಿರ್ಬೇಕು. ಅಂತವ್ರು ಏನೂ ಮಾಡಂಗಿಲ್ಲ. ಮೊಬೈಲ್ ನಂಬರ್ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಸ್ಟೋರ್ ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಡಿಸ್ಪ್ಲೇ ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ. ನೀವು ಡಿಸ್ಪ್ಲೇ ಮಾಡಿದ್ವಿ, ನೀವು ಮೊಬೈಲ್ ನಂಬರ್ ನೋಡಿ ಟೈಪ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರಿ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ನಾಗ ಅದು ಮೊಬೈಲ್ ಕನೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗೇ ಆಗ್ತದೆ. ಸೊ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಬರೀ ನಾವು ಸ್ಟೋರ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಡಿಸ್ಪ್ಲೇ ಮಾಡೋದ್ರಿಂದ ನಾ ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಮೊಬೈಲ್ ನಂಬರಿಗೆ ವ್ಯಾರ್ಕ್ಯಾರ್ನ ಕೊಡ್ತೀನಿ. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ವ್ಯಾರ್ಕ್ಯಾರ್ನ ಕೊಟ್ಟು 10 ಡಿಜಿಟ್ ಬೇಕು ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ವ್ಯಾರ್ಕ್ಯಾರ್ 10 ಅಂತ ಕೊಡ್ತೇನೆ. ಅವಾಗ 10 ಡಿಜಿಟ್ ತಗೋತದೆ. ಅರ್ಥ ಆಯ್ತು ಇದು?
ಓಕೆ ಸರ್.
ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ನಾವು ಈಗ ನನ್ನ ಟೇಬಲ್ ಕ್ರಿಯೇಟ್ ಆಯ್ತು, ಡೇಟಾ ಸ್ಟೋರ್ ಮಾಡೀನಿ. ಐ ಥಿಂಕ್ ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಕನ್ನಡ ಒಳಗೆ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪ್ಲೇನ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಈಸಿ ಅನಿಸ್ತದೆ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಅಥವಾ ಇಂಗ್ಲೀಷ್ನಾಗ ಹೇಳಿ? ಗೈಸ್ ರಿಪ್ಲೈ. ಕನ್ನಡನಾಗ ಹೇಳಿ ಅಥವಾ ಪೂರ್ತಿ ಇಂಗ್ಲೀಷ್ನಾಗ ಬೇಕಂದ್ರೆ ಇಂಗ್ಲೀಷ್ನಾಗ ಹೇಳ್ತೇನೆ, ಇಲ್ಲ ಕನ್ನಡ ಬೇಕಾ ಕನ್ನಡ, ಅಥವಾ ಎರಡು ಮಿಕ್ಸ್ ಬೇಕು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಎರಡು ಮಿಕ್ಸ್. ಓಕೆ ಫೈನ್, ವಿಲ್ ಮಿಕ್ಸ್ ಬೋತ್ ಇನ್ ದಿಸ್ ಕೇಸ್. ಸೊ ಒಂದ್ ಸತಿ ಕನ್ನಡ ಒಂದ್ ಸತಿ ಇಂಗ್ಲೀಷ್ನಾಗ ಹೇಳ್ತೇನೆ ಅಂತ. ಸೊ ಈಗ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡಿದೆ, ಐ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಕ್ರಿಯೇಟೆಡ್ ಅ ಡೇಟಾ. ಫಸ್ಟ್ ನಾವು ಒಂದು HTML ಪೇಜ್ ಕ್ರಿಯೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ವಿ. ವಿ ಪುಟ್ ಇಟ್ ಇನ್ಸೈಡ್ ದ ZAMP ಫೋಲ್ಡರ್. ಸೊ ZAMP ಫೋಲ್ಡರ್ನಾಗ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ವಿ ಕ್ರಿಯೇಟೆಡ್ ಒನ್ ಫೋಲ್ಡರ್ ನೇಮ್ ಇನ್ ದಿಸ್ ಕೇಸ್. ಆ ಫೋಲ್ಡರ್ನಾಗ ಒಂದು HTML ಪೇಜ್ ಕ್ರಿಯೇಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ ಫಾರ್ ರಿಜಿಸ್ಟ್ರೇಷನ್. ಒಂದ್ಸತಿ ಅದು HTML ಪೇಜ್ ಕ್ರಿಯೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಚಾಟ್ GPT ಕೊಟ್ವಿ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಅವ ಡಿಸೈನ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ರೆಡಿ ಮಾಡಿ ಕೊಟ್ಬಿಡ್ತಾನೆ. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಅದಾದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಐ ಓಪನ್ ದ MySQL database in this case. In MySQL database, I have created the table in database create ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ. Database create ಮಾಡಿ next step is I have created the table inside that database in this case. So once we have done this, we have done almost 60% of the work, 66%. ಎದಕ್ಕಂದ್ರೆ ಯಾವುದೇ ಒಂದು ಆಪರೇಷನ್ ಪರ್ಫಾರ್ಮ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಪರ್ಫಾರ್ಮ್ ದೀಸ್ ತ್ರೀ ಥಿಂಗ್ಸ್. I'll just show it in diagram so that you can easily understand in this. Say first you have to create one HTML page. So that we have already done. A HTML page ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ HTML code ಇರ್ತದೆ ಇದ್ರೊಳಗೆ. Okay, so we have given the HTML code. Of course the file name is .php. Okay, HTML PHP extension HTML extension ಇರಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಏನೂ ರೂಲ್ ಇಲ್ಲ. So of course I have given it as register.php. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಈಗ ಇದ್ರೊಳಗೆ ನಾ ಏನೇನು ಡೇಟಾ ತಗೊಲಿಕತ್ತೀನಿ ಅದು ಎಲ್ಲ ಡೇಟಾಬೇಸ್ ಸ್ಟೋರ್ ಆಗಬೇಕು ಅಂತೇಳಿ ಐ ಕ್ರಿಯೇಟೆಡ್ ಒನ್ ಡೇಟಾಬೇಸ್. ದ ನೇಮ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಡೇಟಾಬೇಸ್ ಐ ಕೆಪ್ಟ್ ಇಟ್ ಆಸ್ ಸೇಮ್ ಕಾಲೇಜ್ ಅಂತ ಡೇಟಾಬೇಸ್ ಕ್ರಿಯೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ. I created a database by name college itself in this case. But inside this database, I have created one table where the data should be stored in this case. So I have created one table inside that database and I gave this table name as TBL student details. TBL student details. Okay, but point is, as I told you, HTML cannot communicate with the database, database cannot communicate with the HTML. The third important part is our PHP code in this case. Remember, I need to write one more page, that is my PHP program, where I will be writing the PHP code. This PHP code will take all the data from the HTML page, put it inside the PHP code, and from PHP code the same data will be sent to the table in this case. So this is how the operation should be done, and you give a name to this PHP code in this case. And whatever the name I have given, I'll give the name of the table with the save. Say example, I have given here the HTML code as name student register. So what I generally do is student register save .php. Compulsory the file extension should be PHP in this case. So that is what we give it for the. If I have given here student register, this will be student register save. This student register save will take the data from the HTML and put it here. We have already run two parts in this case. Only one part is remaining now. How to do this? It's a very simple. First thing is I have to create one more PHP file, and I will give the name of this. I'll save this particular file as student register save.php. You can give any name, okay, but what I want is HTML ಪೇಜಿಗೆ ಯಾವ್ದು ಸೇವ್ ಕೊಡೋದು ಅಂತ ನಂಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗಬೇಕು. ಸೊ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ನಾನು ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ, ಸೇವ್ ನೇಮ್ ಕೊಡ್ತೀನಿ, ಸೇವ್ ಅಂತ ಆಪರೇಷನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ. ಸೊ ಸೇವ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಐ ಆಮ್ ಸ್ಟೋರಿಂಗ್ ದ ಡೇಟಾ ಅಂತ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗ್ತದೆ. ಸೊ ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಹೌ ಈಸಿ ಫಾರ್ ಮೀ ಟು remember in this case. So now I have created the .php save code in this case. Now inside this save code, the first thing that I have to do is I have to connect my PHP page with the database. ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ಡೇಟಾಬೇಸ್ ಜೊತೆ ಕಮ್ಯುನಿಕೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರಿ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಅದರೊಳಗಿನ ಟೇಬಲಿಗೆ ಮೀಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು ನೀವು. ಲೈಕ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ಸೇಮ್ ಥಿಂಗ್, ಈಗ ನಿಮಗೆ ಯಾರು ಬಂದು ಮೀಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಅವ್ರು ನಿಮ್ಮ ಕಾಲೇಜಿಗೆ ಬರಬೇಕು. ನಿಮ್ಮ ಕಾಲೇಜ್ ಒಳಗೆ ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಅ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ರೂಮ್ ಇನ್ ದಿಸ್. ಸೊ ಟೇಬಲ್ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ರೂಮ್ ಇದ್ದಂಗೆ. ಸೊ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಕಾಲೇಜಿಗೆ ಬರ್ತಾರೆ, ಆಮೇಲೆ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ರೂಮ್ ಬರ್ತಾರೆ. ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ರೂಮ್ ಜಂಪ್ ಹೊಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಬರಂಗಿಲ್ಲ. ಅದೇ ರೀತಿಯೊಳಗೆ ನಂಗೆ ಆ ಡೇಟಾಬೇಸ್ ಜೊತೆ ಕಮ್ಯುನಿಕೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಹಿಯರ್ ಇನ್ PHP ಫೈಲ್, ಇಫ್ ಯು ವಾಂಟ್ ಟು ರೈಟ್ ಅ PHP ಕೋಡ್, ಕಂಪಲ್ಸರಿ PHP ಟ್ಯಾಗ್ ಅಂತ ಬರ್ತದೆ. We have something called as PHP tag, which is written like this. So ಹೆಂಗ್ ಬರೀತೀವಿ, angle bracket question mark PHP continuous ಇರಬೇಕು, no space in between. This is open of the PHP tag and this is close of the PHP tag in this case. So PHP the tag ಬರೆದ್ರಿ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ inside this you can write the PHP code. Sir, but what about outside this? Outside this is a HTML code. ನೀವು HTML ಬರೀಬೇಕು ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಹೊರಗೆ ಬರೀಬಹುದು. ಬಟ್ PHP ಫೈಲ್ನಾಗ PHP ಕೋಡ್ ಬರೀಬೇಕು ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ we put it inside the PHP tag in this case. So ಈ PHP tag ನಾಗ how to store the data. So very simple. Store ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಮುಂಚೆ connect it to the database. How do we connect it to database? So very simple. ನಾನು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ವೇರಿಯಬಲ್ ಕ್ರಿಯೇಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ $con. You people know that PHP language ನಾಗ ಯಾವ್ದಾರ ಒಂದು ವೇರಿಯಬಲ್ ಡಿಕ್ಲೇರ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ you have to use the symbol that is dollar symbol. So dollar symbol use ಮಾಡಿದ್ರಿ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ it is considered as a variable in this case. Okay, so I have created a variable $con. $con is equal to number Python PHP language naga there is one built-in class called as mysqli underscore connect. mysqli underscore connect, it is used to link between, that is connect PHP file to database. ನಿಮ್ದು ಡೇಟಾಬೇಸ್ ಏನದ ಆ ಡೇಟಾಬೇಸ್ ಜೊತೆ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಕಮ್ಯುನಿಕೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಿಸ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಅಥವಾ ಕನೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಕ್ರಿಯೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ವಿ ಮೇಕ್ ಯೂಸ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಫಂಕ್ಷನ್ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ ಆಸ್ mysqli underscore connect. ಈ mysqli underscore connect ನಾಗ you have to pass 4 parameters. First parameter is something called as localhost. Sir, ಏನದ ಸರ್ localhost? Suppose ನಿಮ್ದು PHP ಮತ್ತು ಡೇಟಾಬೇಸ್ ಎರಡು ಒಂದೇ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ ನಾಗಿತ್ತು ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ we make use of the localhost. It tells where your database is located. Okay, so ಅದು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಬರೆದು ಬಿಡ್ತೀನಿ. That is localhost tells where the database is located. Okay, so localhost ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ it means the database and the XAMPP server both are in the same location. Second part in this, the second part is the database name. That is the second part in this case. So database name antandra illi nandu MySQL database by default name is root. Okay, that is a second parameter in this case. This is the first parameter, that is localhost, and second parameter is the DB database server name, and database server name is always root if you are using MySQL. Okay, next ಮೂರನೇ parameter in this case, ಮೂರನೇ parameter is the database server password. ನಿಮ್ದು ಡೇಟಾಬೇಸ್ ಏನದ ಆ ಡೇಟಾಬೇಸ್ ಪಾಸ್ವರ್ಡ್ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಎಂಟರ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ. ಈಗ ನಾ ಯಾವಾಗ ಕಮಾಂಡ್ ಪ್ರಾಂಪ್ಟ್ ಓಪನ್ ಮಾಡಿದೆ ಇಟ್ ಆಸ್ಕ್ ಫಾರ್ ಅ ಪಾಸ್ವರ್ಡ್. ಸೊ ಆ ಪಾಸ್ವರ್ಡ್ ನಾ ಎಂಟರ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದು ರೂಟ್ ಅಟ್ 123. ನಾವು ದಿಸ್ ಈಸ್ ಅ ಪಾಸ್ವರ್ಡ್ ಇನ್ ಮೈ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್. ನಿಮ್ಮ ಕಂಪ್ಯೂಟರ್ನಾಗ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಕಾಲೇಜ್ನಾಗ ಅಥವಾ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಲ್ಯಾಪ್ಟಾಪ್ನಾಗ ಪಾಸ್ವರ್ಡ್ ಬೇರೆ ಇರ್ತದೆ. ಓಕೆ ಸರ್, ನನ್ನ ಲ್ಯಾಪ್ಟಾಪ್ನಾಗ ಹಾಕೋಬೇಕಂದ್ರೆ ನೀವು ಇನ್ಸ್ಟಾಲ್ ಮಾಡೋ ಹೊತ್ತಿನಾಗ ಪಾಸ್ವರ್ಡ್ ಏನದ ಆ ಪಾಸ್ವರ್ಡ್ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿರಬೇಕು. ಇಫ್ ಯು ಡೋಂಟ್ ನೋ ಹೌ ಟು ಇನ್ಸ್ಟಾಲ್ ದ MySQL, you can contact me, I will help you to install in this. Okay, so the third parameter is root at 123, and the last one is the database name. That is fourth parameter that we use here is the DB name. That is your database name. Nand case naga the database name is college. So I'll give the fourth parameter in this case, that is college. So first thing that I am doing is I am connecting my application with the database software. So our database software jodi communicate ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ this is a very first important in this case. So ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರಿ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ the PHP file gets connected to database. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಈ first command ಆಯ್ತು there where your PHP code is connecting to the database. Now understand this point. Yes, connected to your database, not the table. So this is what the MySQLi connect anta ನಾವು function use ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ. So MySQLi connects to the database. ಅದಾದ್ಮೇಲೆ we will be inserting the data inside the database. Okay, now once the connection is done, how to store the data inside this? Store ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಮುಂಚೆ ನಿಮ್ದು HTML ಪೇಜ್ ನಾಗಿನ ಡೇಟಾ ಫೆಚ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಬರ್ರಿ. Okay, fetch ಮಾಡಿ store it inside some local variables. Like example, student register.php naga I have all these variables, that is say student name. So ನಾನು ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಡಾಲರ್ ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ ನೇಮ್ ಈಕ್ವಲ್ ಟು ಒಂದು ಲೋಕಲ್ ವೇರಿಯೇಬಲ್ ಡಿಕ್ಲೇರ್ ಮಾಡೀನಿ. ಆ ಪೇಜ್ನಾಗಿಂದ ಡೇಟಾ ನೀವು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ತೊಗೊಂಬರ್ಬೇಕು. ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಥಿಂಗ್, ಸರ್ ಇವನಿಗೆ ಯಾಕೆ ಕೊಡ್ತಾನವ ಡೇಟಾ? ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ ರಿಜಿಸ್ಟರ್ನಾಗ ವೆನ್ ವಿ ಕ್ರಿಯೇಟೆಡ್ ದ ಫಾರ್ಮ್ ಟ್ಯಾಗ್ ಹಿಯರ್ ಐ ವಿಲ್ ಮೇಕ್ ಯೂಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಆಕ್ಷನ್ ಅಂತ ನಾನು ಪ್ರಾಪರ್ಟಿ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ. Action property naga I will tell whatever the data is taken by him should be stored inside, should be given to the student register save. So now I learn ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ student register save dot php. So I am telling him that ಈ student register form ಏನದ whatever data is entered, that data should be given to this particular page. That is the reason why when you submit ಅಂತ ಕ್ಲಿಕ್ ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ ನೀವು ಟೈಪ್ ಮಾಡಿರುವಂಥ ಎಲ್ಲ ಡೇಟಾ ಈ ಪೇಜ್ ಮೇಲೆ ಹೋಗ್ತದೆ. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನೀವು ಬೇರೆ ಪೇಜ್ ಹೆಸರು ಕೊಟ್ಟರೆ ದಿಸ್ ಪೇಜ್ ಕೆನಾಟ್ ರಿಸೀವ್ ದ ಡೇಟಾ. ಸೊ ವಾಟ್ ಎವರ್ ದ ಪೇಜ್ ನೇಮ್ ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಗಿವನ್ ಹಿಯರ್ ಶುಡ್ ಬಿ ದ ಸೇಮ್ ಪೇಜ್ ನೇಮ್ ಹಿಯರ್. ಸೊ ಈಗ ಡಾಲರ್ ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ ನೇಮ್ ಈಕ್ವಲ್ ಟು ಡೇಟಾ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಹೆಂಗೆ ಫೆಚ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು? ವೆರಿ ಸಿಂಪಲ್, ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಡಾಲರ್ ಅಂಡರ್ ಸ್ಕೋರ್ ಪೋಸ್ಟ್ ಅಂತೇಳಿ ಒಂದು ಬಿಲ್ಟ್ ಇನ್ ಆಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟ್ ಅದ PHP ನ. ಸೊ ಡಾಲರ್ ಅಂಡರ್ ಸ್ಕೋರ್ ಪೋಸ್ಟ್ the name of the tag. ನಿಮ್ದು ಯಾವ HTML ಪೇಜ್ ಏನು ಟ್ಯಾಗ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಬರಬೇಕು, ಆ HTML ಪೇಜ್ ಇನ್ ದ ನೇಮ್ ಪ್ರಾಪರ್ಟಿ ಏನದ ಕಾಪಿ ಪೇಸ್ಟ್. ಸೊ ಬೈ ದಿಸ್ ವಾಟ್ ಎವರ್ ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಎಂಟರ್ಡ್ ಇನ್ಸೈಡ್ ದಿಸ್ ಟೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಬಾಕ್ಸ್ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ಫೆಚ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಇಟ್ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ಕಾಪಿಡ್ ಇನ್ಸೈಡ್ ದ ಲೋಕಲ್ ವೇರಿಯಬಲ್ ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ ನೇಮ್. ಇದೇ ರೀತಿಯೊಳಗ ಯು ವಿಲ್ ಫೆಚ್ ಆಲ್ ದ ಡೇಟಾ ಫ್ರಮ್ ದ ಫ್ರಂಟ್ ಎಂಡ್. ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ ಬಂದ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಮೊಬೈಲ್ ನಂಬರ್. ಸೊ ನೇಮ್ನಾಗ ಏನು ಕೊಟ್ಟರೆ ಕಾಪಿ ದಿಸ್ ಒಂದು ವೇರಿಯೇಬಲ್ ಅದೇ ಹೆಸರು ಮಾಡಿ ಡಿಕ್ಲೇರ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ, ಟ್ಯಾಗ್ ನೇಮ್ ಅದೇ ಕೊಡ್ಬೇಕು. ಕಾಪಿ ಪೇಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ರಿ, ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಸ್ಪೆಲ್ಲಿಂಗ್ ಮಿಸ್ಟೇಕ್ ಆದರೆ ಇಟ್ ವಿಲ್ ಗಿವ್ ಎರರ್. ಸೊ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಕಾಪಿ ಪೇಸ್ಟ್ ದೀಸ್ ನೇಮ್ಸ್ ಪ್ರಾಪರ್ಲಿ. ರಿಜಿಸ್ಟರ್ ನೇಮ್ ಕಾಪಿ, ಪೋಸ್ಟ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಹಿಯರ್. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಆಫ್ಟರ್ ಟೇಕಿಂಗ್ ದ ರಿಜಿಸ್ಟರ್ ನಂಬರ್, ಕಾಪಿ ದ ಪಾಸ್ವರ್ಡ್, paste and paste. After password, we have next project title. Copy the project title and project title. Next, I have the programming language. Copy the programming language name. Copy the programming language name. So all the copies are done. ಇದು ಸಬ್ಮಿಟೆಡ್ ಬೇಕಾಗಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ ಇಷ್ಟು ವೇರಿಯೇಬಲ್ಸ್ ನಾನು ಬೇಕಾಗಿತ್ತ ಅಷ್ಟು ವೇರಿಯೇಬಲ್ಸ್ ಡಿಕ್ಲೇರ್ ಮಾಡಿದೆ. ರಿಮೆಂಬರ್, ಲೆಫ್ಟ್ ಸೈಡ್ ಡಾಲರ್ ಸಿಂಬಲ್, ಆಲ್ ದೀಸ್ ಆರ್ ದ ಲೋಕಲ್ ವೇರಿಯೇಬಲ್ಸ್. ಅಂಡ್ ರೈಟ್ ಸೈಡ್ನಾಗ ಪೋಸ್ಟ್ ಅನ್ನೋ ಫಂಕ್ಷನ್ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಐ ಆಮ್ ಫೆಚಿಂಗ್ ದ ಡೇಟಾ ಫ್ರಮ್ ದ HTML ಪೇಜ್ ಇನ್ ದಿಸ್. ಸೊ HTML page length, the data HTML code length, the data has come to PHP code in this, and we have made a connection between PHP code to database in this case. ಈಗ ಅದು ಡೇಟಾ ಹೆಂಗೆ ಕಳಿಸ್ಬೇಕು? ಸೊ ವೆರಿ ಸಿಂಪಲ್, ಡೇಟಾ ಕಳಿಸ್ಬೇಕು ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಇನ್ ಪೈಥಾನ್, ಇನ್ PHP ಲ್ಯಾಂಗ್ವೇಜ್, ಇನ್ ದಿಸ್ ವೇರಿಯೇಬಲ್ $con, ಇಲ್ಲೇನು ವೇರಿಯೇಬಲ್ ಕ್ರಿಯೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೆ ಆ ವೇರಿಯೇಬಲ್ನಾಗ there is one function called as query. Inside this query, you have to send the data. Hang send ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ? Very simple, using the SQL insert query. Using the SQL insert query, we store the data inside the database. Hanga, say very simple, it is query ಏನಾಯ್ತು ಅಂದ್ರೆ insert into TBL student details. Whatever the name you have created here, ಇದೇನು TBL student details ಅಂತ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿರಿ, ಕಾಪಿ ಪೇಸ್ಟ್ ದ ಸೇಮ್ ನೇಮ್, ವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂಸ್, ನಿಮ್ದೇನು ವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂಸ್ ಅವ ವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂಸ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟು ಓಪನ್ ಕ್ಲೋಸ್ ಬ್ರಾಕೆಟ್. ಇನ್ಸೈಡ್ ದಿಸ್ ಓಪನ್ ಕ್ಲೋಸ್ ಬ್ರಾಕೆಟ್ ನೀವು ಯಾವ ಆರ್ಡರ್ನಾಗ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಕಾಲಮ್ಸ್ ಕ್ರಿಯೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಿರಿ ಅದೇ ಆರ್ಡರ್ನಾಗ ದ ಕಾಲಮ್ಸ್ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಬಿ ಇನ್ಸರ್ಟೆಡ್ ಇನ್ ದಿಸ್. ಲೈಕ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್, ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ ನೇಮ್ ಅಂತದ, ನಾ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಡೇಟಾ ಕಾಪಿ ಮಾಡೀನಿ, ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ ನೇಮ್ ಅಂತ ನಾವು ವೇರಿಯೇಬಲ್. ಸೊ ಇನ್ಸೈಡ್ ದಿಸ್ ಆ ವೇರಿಯೇಬಲ್ ನೇಮ್ ಕೊಡಬೇಕಾದಾಗ put a single quotation, paste it, separated by comma. The second data I need to insert is mobile number. Mobile number is stored inside this local variable. So I'll put a single quotation, copy paste, mobile number. Again separated by comma. The third parameter that I need to give is register number. So register number ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು local variable ನ copy ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡಿನಿ. I'll copy this and single quotation, paste. Again separated by comma. say next column I need to store is the password and I have copied the password inside the variable. Ellanu varchar irodrinda I have to give it in the single quotation. Suppose numeric ittu andre single quotation kodabadra ashte difference. Okay. Next, after this, the next I need to give is project title. Project title is copied inside this variable. So copy the name and paste it in single quotation. Compulsory in the single quotation. Last, it is a programming language antale that is there inside this variable. Copy the name of this variable. And last, you put a semicolon. So once you put a semicolon, the data is inserted. So data insert again hang bharosa ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಿ. For that, con underscore query, the query will store the data and it will return the value in this case. Suppose if he has returned 1, that means the data is stored. Suppose data insert agila andre it will return 0. So very simple way how I can know that whether the data is stored or not in this case. So I make use of I in this case. I will tell me whether the data is stored inside the data or not in this case. So once the I ಒಳಗೆ ಏನು the information ಗೊತ್ತಾಯ್ತು ಅಂದ್ರೆ the data gets I can tell it to the user in this. ಹೆಂಗ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ? It's a very simple. Use a if condition. If $i double equal to 1, that is $i double equal to 1, that means the data is stored. Illa andandra it will 100% give a error. So if condition means it is successfully stored. Illa it has not been stored in this case. Okay, so let us do this very simple. Suppose data store agittu antandra I will display a message that is print inside this student registered successfully. Okay, suppose condition fail aitu antandra it will come to the else part. I will say registration failed. So I'll put it as registration failed. So a very simple way of telling whether data is stored or not in this case. Okay, save this. Let us insert the data. Now, mugiti ishte code bandra aaytu. Say I'll store my record in this. Say Vivek 9845356246. I'll enter my register number 1EW04CS085. My password, project title, I'll say vehicle management system. Language I will take PHP and click on register. Okay, space allow madilla anastada. So I'll keep it as it is. Save. Project title some issue I guess. Register. Maybe a pattern property there will be some issue in this. So next project title 2 characters A to Z 0 to 9, everything is fine. 2 characters minimum, this was correct. Space was not allowed. I have removed the space in this, but still it is not taking. Okay, I'll learn space extra agitile. That was not taking in this case. So of course you have to add this later. /s should be given. So now click on register. It comes to the next page and you can see registered successfully. The message is displayed to the user. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಬ್ಯಾಕ್ ಲಾಗಿನ್ ಪೇಜ್ ವಾಪಸ್ ರಿಡೈರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಯು ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ರಿಡೈರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಇಟ್ ಇನ್ ದಟ್ ವೇ. ಇಲ್ಲ, there is another method in this. So redirecting it to the next page is also possible. How to do that? Very simple in this case. After he displays the data, it can automatically come back to the home page. ಇದು ಮೆಸೇಜ್ ತೋರಿಸಿ ವಾಪಸ್ ಬರ್ಬೋದು. ವಾಪಸ್ ಬರಬೇಕು ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಅಫ್ಕೋರ್ಸ್ ಸಮ್ ಮಿಕ್ಸ್ಚರ್ ಆಫ್ ಕೋಡ್ ವಿ ಯೂಸ್ ಇನ್ ದಿಸ್ ಕೇಸ್. That is, we use something called as script. Script use ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು you can do this. So let me do that. That is, after this, close the PHP tag and open the PHP tag again. ಇದ್ರೊಳಗೆ ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ? I make use of something called as script. Inside this, alert ಅಂತ ಒಂದು ಫಂಕ್ಷನ್ ಬರ್ತದೆ. Alert function is like print statement. I will display same registered successfully. And after this, location dot href ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಯಾವ ಪೇಜಿಗೆ ಮೆಸೇಜ್ ಡಿಸ್ಪ್ಲೇ ಮಾಡಿದ್ಮೇಲೆ ವಾಪಸ್ ಯಾವ ಪೇಜಿಗೆ ಹೋಗ್ಬೇಕು. He should go to student register page. Student register dot php. Okay, so it should go back to the same page in this. Save this, and now let me run this page again. Okay, so let me run this page again. Say Sachin 9876543210, and register number I'll keep 9876543210. Password Sachin. Project title say I'll call it as DMS, programming language PHP, and click on register. Click ಮಾಡಿದ ತಕ್ಷಣ it says student registered successfully. Click on OK. It comes to the same back page. So this is how we can redirect him to the same page in this. Sir, data store agada anta henge gottagtada? One easy method is in the database. So database same. Select start from TVL student. Click enter. You can see all the data is stored here. The data is stored inside the database in this. Okay, so this is how we store the data inside the database in this case. A very simple method of storing the data. So we did three things in this just to wind up in this case. The first thing we did was we created one HTML page. Second we did was we created a database inside MySQL database software. In this case, we created a database, we created a table. And the third thing that we did was we created the one more PHP page where we link the database with the PHP code. We fetched the data from the HTML page, and then we stored the data in the database in this line. And last, after the data is stored in the database, we gave a message to the user, and we went back to the register page in this. So we created two basic pages, one page to create a front end, another page to create the save code in this. Once it is done, we also created a database and the data is stored in this case. So easy the database storage mechanism we have in the Python PHP language in this case. Okay, anywhere you have not understood, you can ask. So if you have any doubts, you can ask me in this.